Hey, what's up, you guys? Welcome back to the Televised Podcast. My name is Anna, and this week we are going to talk about some of my favorite Supercorp episodes of Supergirl of all time. I kind of framed it as like a top 5, but it's definitely not definitive. I definitely have some like personal, like not guilty pleasure, but definitely some episodes that probably aren't like the best overall episodes of Supergirl that are like centric around Supercorp, but I just have nostalgia for some of the scenes, so they're on my list. But really quick before that, we are officially on Apple Podcasts now. You can look up the show and subscribe and leave a rating or review if you are so inclined. I know that that's my main way of listening to podcasts, so it's really cool that you know the show is up on iTunes now. And also, really quick before we get into some Supercorp stuff, we got a lot of pretty new information about Supergirl season 5, and I thought I'd just run through some of the stuff really quick. Especially considering that there was kind of a major bomb dropped on Twitter when Raul Coley decided that he would post that he's going to be back for Supergirl. That's crazy because, you know, we were all there during another, you know, a great Supercorp episode, which was Ace Reporter, when Lena killed Jack to save Supergirl. So, you know, the only thing that I can think of is that either something messed up happens in regards to Crisis, and Lex maybe brings back all of Lena's, like, the people that Lena's hurt or, you know, has missed in the past that have been close to her that have died, or it's something in her like VR mindscape where she goes to find comfort with those who are gone, who aren't with her anymore. So that's really interesting. I'm really intrigued to see what happens about that. And then we also got the first 4 episode titles for season 5, and they for sure sound super interesting. Episode 1 is called Event Horizon, which, you know, it sounds like kind of a standard catalytic episode. You know, you got to start the season with something big, with something new. Horizon, you know, implies that this is all like a new horizon for Kara, a new era for them. Obviously now that Lena knows, there's going to be a serious like shifts in dynamics and stuff, so I'm really excited. And then we have episode 2, which is called Stranger Beside Me, which that again sounds like a really like Lena centric episode. I saw people saying that it could also be about Jean's brother who's coming onto the show. Supergirl is known for doing like multiple meanings in their episode titles, like how it'll relate to 2 different storylines in the episode, so it probably has something to do with both. Episode 3 is called Blurred Lines, and I feel like this is probably the episode where they really dive into this virtual reality where people are blurring the lines between reality and this virtual world that they're a part of, and maybe even that's where, you know, we'll see a whole lot of Lena, you know, maybe with Jack or with Kara or with maybe even with her birth mother. That would be really interesting to see. And then we have episode 4, which is called In Plain Sight. I really don't know what to make about In Plain Sight. Maybe Kara finds out Lena knows. I don't know. I'm really intrigued about these episode titles, though, and they released some stills from the first episode, and everybody looks particularly shaken, windblown, and pants. Kara looks amazing in the pants. It looks so awesome. I just love it. I'm so excited. Okay, so here we go. Let's get into it. Top 5 best Supercorp episodes of Supergirl. Now, for picking these, I was like, I rewatched most of my favorite Supercorp episodes. I rewatched every single one of these that are on the list. And I was like, I picked them based on how like how much Supercorp was like the center of the episode, how much like I really enjoyed the episode, not just in the Supercorp scenes, but like in the episode overall. Because I feel like for some of the other, like for some episodes of Supergirl that are like kind of Supercorp centric, I was like, well, you know, this episode is not very like, it's not overwhelmingly great as a whole episode, but like I'll go back and watch the Supercorp scenes on YouTube from that episode because the scenes were good, but I just don't want to rewatch the rest of it. So for some of these, that's kind of I kind of went on rewatchability, on how much I just really enjoyed the episode, on how much Supercorp actually interacted, how much their storylines were like super connected to each other, how much they're like all the elements that we love about them were like on display for these episodes. So here we go. My number 5 is an episode called Crossfire. It is season 2, episode 5, and this episode is like my nostalgia episode. That was the first episode that I remember being like, oh, Kara and Lena could like be a thing. They could like actually be a thing and it could be real. And this is like, that was my first venture with like non-canon ships ever. Because like I had never really like stanned TV for a really long period of time. The only show that I had done that done that kind of thing for before Supergirl was The 100 and Clexa was canon. So this was whole new territory for me. But Crossfire was the first episode where I really was interested in Supercorp and was like, these two, there's something special about them. There really is. It is the episode where Lena throws a gala to catch a gang of human criminals using alien weapons provided to them by Cadmus. It's the episode where we find out Lillian Luthor is the head of Cadmus and also Lena's mom. We find out that, or it's also the episode where Kara like tries to get Mon-El to work at Catco. That's like the big downfall of the episode. It's the episode where, Lena says, oh, a Super and a Luthor working together. Who would have thought? Like, and it just has some really great moments. Like Lena inviting Kara to the gala is iconic. It is iconic in Supercorp history. When she says nobody would touch a Luthor with a 10-foot pole, and you're my only friend in National City, and Kara says that she'd be honored to come, and it's just great. It's such a great episode, just in terms of like building this friendship and realizing the implications of their friendship, and Kara kind of realizing how blurred the lines can get between Supergirl and Kara, and having to keep this separate from Lena, because obviously Lena invites both Kara and Supergirl to the gala, and so Kara has to like pull she called it Operation Doubtfire, to distract Lena while like to approach Lena as Kara, but then to distract Lena enough where she can get away, become Supergirl, see Lena as Supergirl, go away, come back as Kara again. And, the whole thing is history from there. And it's, one of my favorite Supercorp moments is when Lena's like, why don't we see how the night pans out? Like, that's just such a flirty line. Are you kidding me? Like, that was intentional. But yeah, I really, really enjoyed this episode. And I thought it'd be interesting to include some downfalls of the episodes, and then also the ratings that they have on IMDb, because I always find it really interesting to look at those, to see, because they're all audience ratings, to see what people take the time to go on IMDb and rate the episode as after every episode. So first of all, downfalls of this episode, obviously Mon-El. It was season 2. Mon-El was in this shit all the time. And this episode was particularly rough because it was Kara, trying to make him a good person, and it wasn't working because he's not a good person. And that was when Kara caught him and Eve in the closet together. All of it was just a nightmare. It really was. And we were warriors in season 2. We suffered. Even if you don't like Supercorp, or, even if you're not a Supercorp and you just hate Mon-El, we all suffered. We all suffered through season 2. We are warriors and we lived. And that's okay. And the rating for this episode is a 7.7 on IMDb, which is a good rating for Supergirl. It's about average. Most of the episodes for this show kind of live in the 7.2 to like 7.8 or 9 range. Only the like really the really good episodes have even above an 8. And especially like crossovers, there's always a crossover curve where the episode of a crossover will have a way higher rating than the rest of it, or than the rest of any of the episodes in the rest of the series. So yeah, but that's pretty good. So good job, Crossfire. You were good. You were a good egg. So number 4 is an episode called Fallout. It is a recent episode, from season 4, episode 2. And that is the one where Lena, Kara, and Eve are trapped in L-Corp with Mercy Graves. I love this episode. I thought it was so fun. It felt like just a really fun excuse to like see Kara run around and kind of not make a fool of herself, but definitely, try and play this like cat and mouse game with Lena and continue to try to hide her identity from her, which is part of, as much as it sucks to see Kara constantly lie to Lena and everything, it is fun to watch them kind of have this power imbalance and this dramatic irony to them. And that was one of the things I just really like about their dynamic, is that in this episode, even though we as the audience, we know that Kara is like invincible, she's bulletproof, she could protect Lena no matter what, she puts on a meek face and she's like, is there a closet I can hide in? Like, because she wants to get, kind of hide Kara away so that Supergirl can come and save the day. And Lena's like, you're safe with me, Kara. Like, you're fine. You're safe with me. We're good together. You're safe. Like, the power imbalance of the two of them, where Lena thinks that she's the one like in the position of power when we know that Kara is really fun. I really like that about their interactions, and this dramatic irony about them. And then that leads me to another one of my favorite aspects of Supercorp is the mutual respect that they have for each other. In the end of this episode, Lena is down in the basement in this lab with Kara where all of her prototypes live, and on the table is the Lexo suit. So Mercy has one arm and Lena has the other. And the whole time, like, Mercy's like dogging on Lena for being a bad Luthor, and which means being a good person, which is funny. But Mercy says that, the Luthor name, or Lena doesn't deserve the Luthor name. But Kara's like the whole entire time, she's like defending Lena like to the last breath. Like, Mercy says something and Kara's like on it. She's like, I love Lena and you can't say shit about her. Like, that's what she says. And not really, but and so that's just like a really, really fun thing to see between the two of them, where Lena is willing to stand in front of Kara and protect her with her life, and Kara is just will never back down from her morals, that Lena is a good person and that she's an amazing friend and that she has a heart of gold, and all of this stuff that she just so strongly believes about Lena. And that was on display in this episode. Another one of my favorite parts of this episode is Lena like shoos Kara out of that room, and it's Kara's, of course, perfect escape to become Supergirl. So then Supergirl bursts into the room And this is right after Mercy says that Lena doesn't deserve the Luthor name. And she says, no, you're wrong. The Luthor name doesn't deserve Lena. And that's, again, one of my absolute favorite Supercorp moments and lines. Like, I freaked out when that happened, especially because season 4 was after kind of the drought of season 3. I feel like they really were like, okay, season 2, we gated up too much, and now the fans want it, so we have to take it away for season 3. But then in season 4, they kind of brought it back because they realized that it is like, their relationship is like a foundation of the show, because they're basically mirrors of each other and they empower each other. And I feel like that dynamic is something that you don't want to lose. And I feel like season 3 kind of suffered for that when they kept them separated for quite a long time. But yeah, so one of the downfalls of the episode is that it's not entirely Supercorp centric. I mentioned earlier that I wanted to kind of make sure that these all were, pretty much Supercorp centric, but this one doesn't really start being Supercorp centric until kind of the middle. Because obviously Kara trying to catch Mercy and Otis is like the main like storyline with Alex and John and Brainy and everybody. But she doesn't actually go to L Corp to like see Lena and to talk about this whole thing until like halfway through the episode and there's also the storyline where Nia and James talk about how he needs to editorialize for the paper because she's like, you just need to be a good person. Don't know how to tell you that. And also Brainy and Nia, this is their first like major interaction at the pizza place with the image inducer going down, and Nia defending Brainy from the xenophobic pizza parlor owner. So it was just really cool to have an episode that was Supercorp centric, but then, I mean, because the rest of the storylines were very, very good. So it's not really like a downfall. It's just that it's not entirely Supercorp centric. It's a bit of everything. But the rating on this one is a 7.2 on IMDb. Not as popular as some of the others on this list, which sucks a bit because I felt like it was fun. It was really fun, especially when like Kara did the atomic sneeze. It was all fun. It was all fun and games. But I guess people don't like when Supergirl goes really political. They're like, this feels deft. This feels out of place, which I feel them on quite a few levels when they say that. But I feel like this episode worked, especially with the way that Nia was talking about her being a trans woman and her feeling like we need to use our voice when we have the chance, and the Brainy Nia storyline. I don't know. I liked it, but not everybody did. But anyway, so that's my number 4. Number 3 is the only episode from season 3 on this list. It might be controversial because it is not the one where Kara flies Lena in her civilian clothes to the DEO, even though I did like that episode. This one is called Damage. It is season 3, episode 5, and it's when Lena gets framed for murder by Morgan Edge, and he says that Lena poisoned the children with lead in National City. This is when Kara and Sam become Team Lena, and they're gonna like do everything in their power to help Lena and to clear her name. And this episode is responsible for some of my favorite Supercorp scenes ever. Obviously we have the one in the kitchen where Kara comes to Sam's house. Sam is out running the company. Ruby's at a friend's and Lena broke the glass and she says, I made a metaphor. And she's looking all soft in the National City University sweater. And it's just a really, really grand old time that they're having unpacking Lena's emotional trauma. And I think that's really, that's just one of the things I love about their dynamic is that you can have these scenes where Lena is breaking down over the fact that even Lex Luthor didn't kill children. Like, I'm hurting children. Like, even Lex Luthor never did that. And Kara still, like, wildly believes in her because she just so desperately believes in the good of Lena and the good of people. And Lena has never done anything to like prove her wrong in that sense. So she, she just grasps on to Lena because she just respects her so much. And they empower each other so much in that way. And they Kara and Sam finally figured out that Morgan Edge is the one that is actually responsible for poisoning these children. So Lena goes to shoot Morgan Edge while he's in his office, which, again, very smart move on behalf of the genius Lena Luthor, who did not take into consideration the fact that this man might have security. And so Lena gets herself kidnapped by Morgan Edge and put in this plane. And this plane is full of these vats of the chemical that has poisoned all the children. And all of these vats apparently are made so that when it hits the water, the plastic of the vat will dissolve and it'll unleash all the chemicals. And Lena is like, shit, we are heading for the reservoir. Morgan Edge is going to poison the reservoir of National City and make everybody believe that I am like poisoning every single person in National City. And of course, Lena doesn't really care about her reputation. She just cares about the people in National City who are going to suffer because of this. So Lena puts out a little mayday call because she's alone on this plane. And before Morgan Edge can cut it off, she gets out like two and a half words. She gets out, Mayday, Mayday, it's lit. And then that's about it. And they play the audio clip in the DEO because Brainy's like, Brainy? No, Win. Win was around at that time, sorry. Win is like, hey, we got a distress call. Listen to this. And Kara's like, it's Lena. So she like goes to fly to Lena. And it's so good because Kara then stops the vats of chemicals from being dropped into the reservoir. And so Morgan Edge decides that he's like, well, fine, if you're not going to let me drop the chemicals out of the plane, I'm just going to crash the plane with you guys in it. So Kara's pushing up on the top of the plane. Morgan Edge is pushing down with the controls of the plane, which he is controlling from a remote location. And Kara splits the plane in half, which, whoops, didn't mean to do that. But she did. So she splits the plane in half. And this is where we get some, again, really, really, really iconic Supercorp moments where Lena's like she's in one half of the plane and the chemicals are in the other half of the plane and Kara cannot stop them both. And we get Lena saying, save the chemicals, not me. And Kara's like, I'm not going to drop you. And she says, climb, Lena, climb. And that's like very reminiscent to me of like West Allen, where, Iris is always saying, run, Barry, run. And Kara refuses to drop Lena just to save the chemicals. So Lena jumps because Kara says, jump, Lena. And Lena jumps and Kara grabs her hand and Kara saves the chemicals and Lena. And that made me think of in one episode that Superman was in. I cannot remember it though. I think it was like end of season 2, beginning of season 3. Either way, whichever one one of the ones that he was in, Clark said that he knew that if the world was in danger, but also like if he wouldn't be able to let Lois go to save the world. Like that's what he said. And for me, this scene from Damage is like representative of that. It's Kara not being able to just let Lena go to save, the entire population of National City from being poisoned. And I think that's so cool. It's just, it's another one of those like Clois parallels that we are so accustomed to. But yeah, and one of the downfalls of this episode, though, is that the Sanvers breakup is this episode, so it's a little rough. Some really rough Sanvers scenes to get through. This is going to maybe make me sound like an asshole, but I wasn't too torn up about Sanvers' breakup because I was like, Alex cannot realistically marry the first woman that she's ever been in a relationship with, but you know. So I wasn't super torn up about it, but I know that that's hard to watch, so this might affect the rewatchability for some people. I know that even though I didn't really like them, I definitely had a hard time, seeing Kyler put on such an amazing performance, being so upset about Maggie leaving. But yeah, so I don't know, it's a really, really great episode, I think, and it has a 7.5 rating on IMDb, which again is respectable. It's in there, it's average with the rest of the Supergirl episodes. So my number 2 episode, probably I could justify it being number 1, but I just didn't want to because my number 1 is like the god tier Supercorp episode. And number 2 is Will the Real Miss Tessmacher Please Stand Up? It is episode 20 of season 4. And it is one of my favorite episodes of Supergirl of all time. It is brilliant, I think. And it's just golden. Like, it's the one where after Kara and Lena discover that Lex was in Kaznia, they discover that at the end of 419, which is called American Dreamer. That's when they're writing on the window and Lena does the puzzle or whatever. They fly to Kaznia. And so we have the iconic plane scene where, again, you have this instance of this dramatic irony where the audience knows that Kara is just going to fly outside of this plane and land the plane, but Lena believes that she's the one landing the plane, and she believes that she's the one saving Kara, and she believes that she's the one with the more powerful dynamic, the more power in the relationship between the two of them. Which is, again, just for me, so interesting to watch between the two of them because, you're dealing with, one of the smartest women on Earth, truly. And then you're dealing with the, strongest woman on Earth, the strongest being on Earth. And also just very brilliant, obviously, in both Kara and Lena. So it's just really interesting to watch that dynamic play out, especially in this episode. This episode is, everything to do with that, because this is the one where they deal with the gajillion Eves, which again was super, super fun. I love this episode. So Eve is super dumb and they're trying to deal with that, and that's super fun. And then you have Kara and Lena. They're Kara is desperately trying to cover up the fact that she's Supergirl from Lena because she finds Red Daughter's room. And she's distraught about it. And again, you have that dramatic irony where Lena believes that Kara's distraught because this base is going to blow up. But really, she's just so distraught because she knows that if Lena finds out, she doesn't know what's going to happen between the two of them. So she goes and burns all the pictures that are hanging in Red Daughter's room of Kara and Supergirl and Kara and Lena and Kara and Alex and all of that. And then we also have this, one of my favorite moments in all of Supergirl history. One of my favorite moments ever in any episode of Supergirl, where just in terms of symbolism, where Lena is fighting Eve on the plane, and Kara had given Lena her recorder before she went to go, I don't know, do something. I don't remember what her excuse was to run away and go fight Eve's, but she ran away, and she gave Lena the little recorder that she uses to her little reporter recorder. And so Lena had put it in her little breast pocket inside of her jacket, right above her heart. And during a fight between Lena and Eve stabs Lena in the heart, which I tweeted about this before, so you might have seen it, but this is just, I have to talk about it, where it's representative of Eve stabbing Lena, in the back with the betrayal, stabbing Lena directly in the heart, with this betrayal. And Kara, her recorder, is the only thing that protected Lena from actually getting hurt by this betrayal. Kara's reporter identity, the idea of Kara Danvers, because that recorder is so representative of Kara's reporter identity, not like, you know, not Kara Zor-El, not Supergirl, but Kara Danvers, like the person that Lena knows. That recorder is that. It's like, that's like the physical manifestation of the Kara Danvers facade. And the fact that that was the one thing that was between Lena's heart and Eve's like stabbing betrayal is incredible. And that's, again, what leads to the almost reveal. Like, Kara almost told Lena that she was Supergirl, but Kara knew that if Lena found out, it would break her currently. Like, and Kara says at the end of the episode, she's like, later, when this is all over, when we catch Lex, I'm going to tell her no matter what she's going to do. If she's mad, I don't care. She has to know. But, and obviously we find out that, you know, Lex beats her to it, Kara, I mean. But the reason that, like, Kara, because everybody was like, why didn't Lena just turn around? And I don't think she wanted to turn around, because I think she kind of knew. And I don't think, you know, and everybody was also like, why did Kara put the glasses back on? And it's because she knew that it would break Lena because of that, like, amazing moment that was written in. It's just so good. This is just so good. The rest of this episode is also really great. It's the Danson kind of pocket episode, or pocket moment, where Alex believes she's going to be a mom for, like, you know, a day. And I thought that was really, really well done. I loved all of those Danson scenes. They were so good. They have so much chemistry. So this episode is like 10 out of 10 in terms of rewatchability, because every bit of it is just so good. And this one has a 7.6 rating on IMDb, which, again, you know, average, pretty good. Good for Supergirl. Average episode. So here we go. Number 1 best Supercorp episode of all time is Luthors, episode 12 of season 2. And I think that a lot of you will agree with me. I hope so. Because this one is such an iconic episode in terms of Supercorp, in terms of Lena, in terms of just Supergirl history. It is one of the highest rated episodes of Supergirl, especially before season 4. Season 4 came in and kind of snuck a lot of new episodes into that top 10, but it's got a 7.9 on IMDb, which, you know, again, very, very good. They hardly ever hit an 8 on Supergirl. So this is a great episode. Very, very well received. This is classic. It's a classic episode. It's OG Supercorp. It is the bridal carry. It's the promise. It's the fight for Lena. It's the fact that Lena was willing to, like, risk herself for Supergirl. It's the fact that Kara punched a shit ton of bricks to death, like, over the fact that she was mad that nobody would believe her about Lena. It's just so iconic. Like, it's this episode is literally the foundation that Supercorp is built on. Like, yes, you know, all of these other episodes came before it. Like, you know, obviously we have the meeting in the first episode, and we have Medusa, and we have Crossfire, and we have all of these episodes. But, like, Luthors is really the foundation, I believe, of Supercorp, because this is us seeing, really, I mean, for the first time, how just vehemently Kara believes in Lena, and how much she's willing to risk the rest of her friends. Like, she tells James that he's, like, a liar and a scumbag for not believing in Lena, and at that point you're like, whoa, you've known Lena for, like, a month, you know, 2 months or so, and James is, like, your friend of, you know, quite a while, and your almost boyfriend and everything. Like, it's just crazy to see, and to, it's great. It's great to watch, like, to watch Kara, you know, be so invested in this relationship. And I know that they were trying to set up, like, because James said, well, you know, Lex was Clark's best friend too, and then he wouldn't believe anybody about it, but whatever. And I know that they were probably trying really, really hard to set up, like, you know, a Lena turn at some point, but I think we kind of ruined their plans with how much we love Lena and with how much Lena became a fan favorite. So I genuinely don't think she'll ever turn evil. But I definitely could see in this episode where it was like they were trying to set that up. And which, again, this episode just proves why James and Lena should have never even happened in the first place. But, that's a whole nother topic. But this is, of course, the episode with the donut scene, which is amazing. We have Kara saying, well, now you have somebody who believes in you always. We have Lena filling Kara's office with flowers. All of those classic Supercorp moments. One of my favorites, though, is one that I, mentioned earlier, was the fact that Lena, a human, stepped out to fight for Supergirl, a superpowered alien, and got herself, knocked to the ground because of it by Hank Henshaw, the real Hank Henshaw. The fact that she was willing to do that for Supergirl, who she doesn't even know is Kara at this point, when 3 episodes ago, Mon-El, who was at, I guess he was at the same level of powerlessness when they were on Slaver's Moon, he was not willing to stand up for Supergirl when she was getting beat down on Slaver's Moon. He just stood there like a lump on a log and just kind of hung around, did not do anything while Kara was trying to save Kevin Smith's daughter. The fact that they showed us that they showed us Mon-El being a dickwad and then Lena being willing to risk her life basically to help Supergirl, even though Supergirl wasn't even devoid of her powers at that moment. Mon-El knew that Kara was devoid of her powers, and yes, to be fair, he was too, but Lena doesn't even have powers in the first place. The fact that they showed us that and then they wanted us to love Kara and Mon-El is just ridiculous, but whatever. But overall, I just really, really love this episode. I love Luthors. I love Lillian Luthor. I believe that this is a prime example of why, of the fact that her character was extremely mistreated by the show. So yeah, I just love this episode. Unfortunately, though, this is the episode that I think at the end, Kara and Mon-El actually do kiss or something or get together. I just didn't watch the end, so rewatchability is great. Just don't watch the last 2 minutes. And then really quick, I have some honorable mentions and then we'll wrap it up. So Medusa is one of my favorite Supercorp episodes. It is the season 2 mid-season finale. It is technically part 1 of the crossover, but literally only for the last 2 minutes. It's the Thanksgiving episode, and it's the fight for Lena's soul, basically, where Lena plays a double con on Lillian, where she's oh, I'm with you, but then she tells Supergirl that she's with Lillian, and then she's not with that. I don't know. It's great. It's great. It's awesome. It's such a good episode. Another one that's an honorable mention is called Survivors. It is the 2-minute interaction in the roulette episode, just because Lena looks so good. It's the introduction of Jess the secretary. It's the birth of Lena and Roulette dating. The idea of them dating in boarding school came from. All of that happened in the episode called Survivors, which I think is the 3rd episode of season 2, if I'm not mistaken. Either the 3rd or the 4th. And then obviously another honorable mention goes to The Adventures of Supergirl, which obviously is the 1st episode of season 2 where they meet for the first time. Lena convincing Kara to be a reporter with just one word, basically. The helicopter scene, the Alex and Lena saving each other scene. It's great. It's great. Such a great episode. Then obviously there's another honorable mention, Waiting for Ace Reporter. It's a great episode, but it makes me sad. So that's why I didn't put it on here, because in terms of me, rewatchability of Ace Reporter is not great for me, because I don't want to see Lena kill Jack. That's upsetting to me. I don't like to watch it. So I just go and watch the Supercorp scenes on YouTube, because it just makes me sad, the whole thing. So, and there's a lot of Mon-El in that episode. So yeah, we suffered. And then last but not least, honorable mention goes to, like I mentioned before, that one episode where Kara flew Lena to the DEO. I don't even know the title of it because I could not be bothered to look it up. Because I was season 3 was kind of meh in terms of Supercorp, so I don't know the episodes offhand. But yeah, that episode was good. That interaction was very good between the two of them. And, Lena was like, I had a dream and we were flying and you were carrying me. So good. So classic. Again, classic kind of Clois parallels that we have going on. But yeah, so I think that's it for me for today. Sorry this one's kind of long. It's a bit longer than my previous episodes have been, but I hope you enjoyed it. I hope you enjoyed this episode. Don't forget to because we're on Spotify now, we're obviously on YouTube, on iTunes, on basically, I guess, SoundCloud, anywhere where you can find podcasts. If you have any requests, if I missed your favorite podcast hoster place, your favorite place to stream podcasts, tweet me at Televised Pod and tell me to get on to that platform. Like, I think Google has a podcasting platform, like website, and if you want me to get on there, I can. I'm trying to cover all the bases, make it as accessible as possible to everybody. Thank you for being patient with kind of the rollout of this, and thank you so much for listening. I also have, if you're interested, because I did mention that there's like kind of a crossover curve and the top 10 highest rated episodes of Supergirl. I did a Twitter thread on it once, but I think it'd be really fun to do a full episode about it. If you're interested, you could let me know. You can leave a comment, or again, you could tweet me at Televised Pod and let me know if that's something you'd be interested in seeing, because I think it's interesting to talk about. To see which episodes of Supergirl are the critically highest rated. And there's actually like a huge disconnect between the ratings, like the critics' ratings, like the critics' Rotten Tomatoes score and the audience Rotten Tomatoes score, which I think is really interesting to talk about. So if you're interested in that, let me know and I'll make an episode on that. That'd be really fun. So yeah, thank you guys so much for listening. And I will see you next time. Bye.